some people.
If you're watching, just be sure to say hey. Let us know where you're watching from. Obviously, not your exact address. Although if you do, then I'll be sure to send you some cookies. But cookies that I bought, not cookies that I baked. You don't want cookies that I baked.
I don't know. You play the VR game and you changed your voice or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty hard thing to do. To be always serious or to be always silly is, I think, actually a sign of insecurity, not a sign of maturity. To be serious all the time is not to be mature. It's actually to be insecure. I think that is my opinion.
And elaborate on that. Well, why?
So the reason why I think to be serious all the time is not mature is because it's not actually demonstrating the fullness of who you are. Because as a person, you do have a fun side somewhere deep down inside. I think everybody has like a silly bone in their body. I'm 50% silly bones. If you can't tell,
just 50.
I was like refreshed. I was refreshed after having done this like serious trip. And I learned, I was like, oh, silliness really matters, you know? Like if you ain't silly, you know, you're just kind of...
If you're not silly, you're Billy. That's what I say.
That's right. And who wants to be Billy?
Yeah. It's a horrible name. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry, Bill, if you're watching.
I'm sorry if your name is Billy. I feel for you right now.
Don't worry, we still appreciate you.
Give you some soul suggestions afterwards.
I'm putting a video up, and it is very silly. And this video basically like sums up like the trip. What I found on this trip was that my being silly was the reason why I wasn't tired at the end. And that to me was groundbreaking because I always thought I just had to push through and I had to like force my way through. And on this trip, it was really revolutionary to find out, oh, actually, I need to have some fun. And, you know, because in the serious moments, we were very serious and we, you know, really accomplished a lot of good. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so we were getting ready for like a ministry time, right? Everybody's practicing and doing like real dancing and getting warmed up. And then my buddy was like, Colton, you need to dance too. And I was like, all right.
If you say so. Little did they know Colton was like preparing to dance the whole time.
Yeah.
I've been practicing this for weeks.
He was gonna let them feel good about themselves for a minute and then be like, oh, look at these moves.
I love it.
And then there's our leader just standing there while I'm like not even paying attention to the fact that I'm dancing like a total goof. She's totally ignoring me.
They all were like, Colin's just gonna keep doing this, just forget about it.
But my question is, would you say like that kind of silliness in all seriousness is like contagious and actually doing good also in its own ways?
Oh yeah, like I'll just leave this one up because it's great. You know, for your viewing pleasure. It's just like like I mean, I'm kind of strict as a boss, but I'm also really fun, you know? And I don't think the two are antithetical to each other. They're not contrary. But they serve different purposes. Yeah, sorry, Floridian. Sorry, I'll try to keep it simple for you, Florida.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
These different emotions that we all have serve very, very like practical purposes. Apart from just having fun, you know, it helps people to relax. It helps people to feel at ease. And then it's actually much easier for me to lead people who are comfortable around me, who are not afraid of me. They know that they can be both silly and serious, sometimes in like the same minute.
The only seriousness in my books is when I lose a Rocket League game.
Wow, so you are serious quite a lot.
Yeah. Ouch. Good to see you. It was a good time with you. Oh
Good
my
to see you,
God.
Zaria. Thanks for joining us. Steven also is like legit. For those who don't know, Steven is like one of my best friends in the world. Literally in the world, because he's on the other side of the world.
It's true. It's true. I would hug you right now.
So much. I would hug you so much. If we don't know that we're insecure, we won't know what to look for as a remedy. Right?
These are some big words.
So the person who doesn't know they're sick does not know to go to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So if I don't know that I'm depressed, I'm gonna think that I'm the problem. You know, I'm just gonna think, oh, I just need to try harder. You know, until I realize, oh, I'm a little bit depressed. Huh. Okay. So then now I know how to I can at least search, how do you deal with depression? What can I change in my diet? What can I change in my routine? What can I change in, the way in which I talk to myself and I treat myself? Because now I actually know what the problem is and I can actually deal with it. And up until then, I had no idea. There was no way for me to deal with something because at the moment I did not even know that it existed. Talking to a friend the other day and, he was talking about all these things of like, oh, I know I should. And I was like, yeah, but that's not reality presently. Should is a very unhelpful word because it deals with things that are not real yet. They're these ideals, but they're not realities. It's the difference between a core value and an aspired value. An aspired value is something that we think should be real, but it isn't. And in order for that to become a real value, in order for me to take my aspired value over here in the midst of the clouds and the whatevers, and I need to make this real, I need to make this a part of my life, is I first have to actually acknowledge where I am. I'm scared. I'm lonely. I want to eat out more. Right? Yeah, because we had our joint birthday party.
We did. It was epic. Do you still have a video or something from it?
I do still have a video.
Do you have the boxing fight?
Florida man arrested for biting boys out of frustration.
What? That is so messed up. Oh my God.
I forgot what mine was. Wait, give me a second.
What?
Oh yeah. Florida man breaks into restaurant, strips naked, eats noodles, and then plays the banjo. Or banjo.
There we go.
I don't know how to say it.
The banjo. It's a banjo.
It's a banjo.
Yeah, banjo. Okay.
Okay.
But I think mine is weird, but Soap's is Soap.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about yours.
You can see how bald my head is. This was at Bible school, and so it's like a bunch of Christians watching two Bible students fight for fun on their birthday. My first day having my one wheel.
Yeah, you're a pro now. You have to start somewhere, don't you?
Like you get presented with a fearful situation, you're either going to run or you're going to stand your ground, right? I actually consider that when it comes to fear and when it comes to our emotional world, it's all flight. There's no fight, it's all flight. So I consider this because both of them, what they are, is their reactions to a feeling of insecurity. And my definition of insecurity is it is the perceived sense of lack of something. Now, that lack can be real or only perceived. And if it's perceived, we still consider it as true because it only needs to be believed in order to be effective in changing the way that we think. Also, that can be, both for good or for bad. So with that, then it's like, if I'm afraid, I feel insecure. I feel as though I lack something in the moment. You know, I lack security. I lack protection. I lack love. I lack attention. I lack affirmation. I lack Korean barbecue. You know,
What?
it's
He
real.
lacks his
Yo,
What's it
Korean barbecue is the best.
The struggle's
he lacks
real.
his maple syrup.
I mean, you talk about insecurities. To not be overwhelmed and go into flight into securities. You say that is a norm when you have fear, but obviously you have fears, and you've probably learned to cope with those fears and insecurities.
Sometimes I just straight up run and I just freak out and I peace out and I run to the things that make me feel safe and secure. Cause I'm scared, you know? Cause I'm like I'm a normal person, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just scared and I don't know what to do about it.
I thought you were perfect.
Well,
I thought Canadians were like never scared.
sometimes.
Oh, he needs his syrup.
I mean, how else would I remain this sweet?
Yeah,
So humble.
the
Oh, yeah.
humblest.
The most humble. How do I deal with fear? How do I deal with this when I'm scared and I want to feel secure? I want to feel safe. Because me personally, when I'm afraid, the thing that I run away to is control. And so I realized that as like, okay, like I really like control. It makes me feel safe to be able to control something. I have also realized, though, the type of control that I really enjoy is the control of self. I want to control myself so that I can present a good image out to everybody else so that they can perceive me as being awesome, as generally just being better than everybody else, because let's face it.
Just because you're so humble.
I mean, you are the awesome. That's just
So because I want to control my image, right? I want to control how I'm perceived by people so that I can get what I want, which is encouragement, affirmation, love, all of these things, right? And so in my subconscious mind, my understanding is if I want to get that, I have to make people consider me in a certain way so that I can receive what I want, rather than just asking for it. I manipulate it out of them. And that's my, like, that makes me feel really secure because it makes me feel in control. Because if you want to feel the most out of control, be in community. Because you can't control them because they're other people, you know? You could try to manipulate them, as I totally do. Sometimes subconsciously.
Am I even really a mod here?
It's an illusion. Yeah, also, thank you so much for actually, like, helping with the Discord. It was really nice. I really appreciated that. You know, in community, I have zero control, ultimately, over how I'm perceived and how I'm, responded to. You know, I can do certain things to try and influence that, but I don't have control. And so, to me, that is actually one of the ways in which I can keep myself from the insecurity and running towards control. Is in my moment of insecurity, I just have to, like, actually let someone know. I have to bring someone in and invite community so that my desire to control is no longer has any place, because I've actually given up control by letting community be a part of my process. I personally do not like being weak, but also I love being weak because I recognize the benefit of it. Because so long as I put out the perception that I am strong, I am limited to only my strength. But as soon as I'm weak, I can now benefit from the strength of my community.
That's deep.
You know what else is deep?
Your face?
No.
Like, I took your words and sniffed them into my brain because they were actually really powerful, you know? Yeah.
You're gonna make him even more humble.
Because love always comes with sacrifice. If I really want to truly experience love in one way or another, friendship, community, or other relationships, I have to be willing to sacrifice. That means my pride. That means I have to be willing to say, I'm weak. I feel kind of dumb right now. I feel like kind of a fool. Oh, like, yeah, like this happened and I responded in this way and it was pretty unhealthy. And, yeah. I feel really insecure not wearing my hat, but I'm going to do it because this is a safe place and this is what we do here. So, you also feel free to be insecure and, share your real stuff as I'm sharing my real stuff. One of the natures of fear is it works on this principle of turning away, right? Fear makes us want to turn away from the thing that we're afraid of. So if I'm afraid of failure, I'll turn away from my failures, and therefore I've actually already lost to the fear, even though I'm trying to ignore it by not looking at it. I've actually already lost to it because I've fulfilled its first mandate, which is to make me look away. And so by my simply looking at it long enough to be able to benefit from my mistake, to learn from it, I can disarm the fear, and then I can move forward. No, I mean, if it's a friendly guy, at least you can use your sword to like pick his teeth out or something. Like if he's got like a bone in there, you just like go in there. You're like, "Hey, buddy, just open your jaw up real quick. Don't worry, I'm a friend.
Don't worry. Yeah.
I'm on the neighborhood gator watch.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a great time here. Don't worry, I'll get that bone out there and lick it. A good reaction to fear is to actually pause and reflect before taking any action, right? Like that being like the first step of actually going, I'm afraid. I'm insecure. I'm Colton. Like, okay, how do I, like, what can I do based on my previous interactions with this emotion? What's a good response to this? Now, obviously, it's a lot easier for us who are believers to ask the Lord, because we kind of have an advantage in that sense, because I don't have to rely on my own wisdom. I can rely on the wisdom of the Lord to guide me in that moment and say, hey, you actually just need to tell somebody, or like, because then I'm thinking beyond my own ability, because I'm thinking in tandem with literally the God of the universe. And believe it or not, that's helpful. You could be describing your thoughts all day long and it's still not correct. I still don't actually fully understand you, because there's so much that's going in, all the backstory and everything. I would literally have had to be with your thoughts from the beginning of your conception to be able to understand you fully and completely. But also the good news is, the point of a relationship is not to understand one another completely. The point of a relationship is to give and to experience love.
I'm looking at you, Epic Soap. Yeah, my friend over there, Germany, over in Deutschland. Oh gosh, look at that beautiful face. That's the face of a beautiful German right there. Yep. Read and weep, everybody. That's perfection right here. I'm never gonna achieve such a beautiful face. But it's also, look at that beautiful head of hair. I'm just never gonna get there. I'll pass my prime.
Oh wow, that hurts the voice.
For people who have not who have lost their trust in people, or a specific kind of people, with some people, did you develop some skills to actually, or some strategy, or can you give them some tips to come back to trust people? Yeah,
that is a good question. So I think the first step to anything is we have to find out what are the mechanics to practice, because any sort of skill that we want to learn, there are mechanics that govern that skill, right? So if I want to learn how to do a voice, I have to understand how to operate my voice box. I have to operate, my throat. I have to change the way and where I pronounce my words. Because like with say like a French accent, I pronounce my words in a different part of my mouth than I do in English. In English, I'm pronouncing my words in kind of like the upper top middle of my face, like right in here. But with French, I am speaking here. I form the words back here, and then I kiss them as they come out. Right.
Yeah.
And because it's like, I cannot do a French accent if I pronounce it from the English part of my mouth. Right. Likewise, if I want to change it to the girl voice, I have to like totally constrict the back of my throat. And I have to like make it a little bit more like nasal and whatever. And I have to change also the accent with which I'm speaking to be able to do that voice. And I have to understand the mechanics of it, because if I don't understand the mechanics, I'm just fumbling around in the dark and I have no way by which to measure my progress. But also too, if I have any sort of goal, I have to have a sense of what I'm shooting for. So that means if I want to grow in a voice, I have to know what that voice sounds like. What am I aiming for? What's the sound that I'm going for? Otherwise, I never know if I've accomplished it. So what I do with that voice is I've been for the last couple of months is I take a recording every once in a while so I can measure my progress. And then I go back and I listen through my previous progress and I go, oh gosh, that was so horrible. Like a month ago, that voice sounded bad. It didn't sound good. It sounds decent now, but it didn't sound good a month ago. It sounded really bad. But I can measure that and I can see I've made progress because, I've been measuring. Because I know the metric, I know the mechanics that are going into it. Likewise with trust, if I want to grow in trust, I need to first find someone that is very, very trusting and trustworthy, both so that I can learn and be comfortable in growing in trust with that person, but also too so I can see what trust looks like, so that I can actually be moving towards an actual goal, rather than moving to some amorphous, foggy finish line that I don't even know where the finish line is. Like I'm running a race in the countryside and I don't even know when and where it ends. So I am probably going to give up. But if I know where the finish line is, that means I can actually measure how far along I am. And then I know, actually, I just need to push through for like, a few more kilometers or miles for our American friends. Because I know how close I am to the finish line, right? And I can measure because I'm on a pathway that is defined. So I have to know where I'm going. I have to know what it looks like to get there. And then, I have to be willing to like ask questions and risk. And I have to be willing to make myself look like a fool, because I think part of learning anything is looking foolish and not being afraid of looking foolish. Like when I learned German, I made a fool of myself so much. I would just walk up very confidently at the cafe and go, hallo? Ja, ich möchte ein Cappuccino bitte. And then they would say something off. They'd rattle something off to me as a response, asking me a question. And I would just look at them going like, what? Because I didn't know how to respond. I had a half-decent German accent, and so people thought that I could actually speak German, but I didn't. I couldn't actually speak German. Although I did do a pretty good job of buying shoes in German, and I was able to have that whole conversation with only a couple Google Translates.
I was impressed when you got there at the hotel room, and you were like, "Oh, I just bought shoes." I was like, "How?"
Yeah, the lady didn't speak any English either.
It's just incredible. Yeah.
But I made a fool of myself in every language that I've learned. In French, Spanish, Afrikaans, German, English. I make a fool of myself all the time because I recognize how valuable that is for learning. It's a little bit more close to the heart when we're doing emotional stuff like trust, because there is a little bit more at stake, not just my intellectual standing, but also my sense of like how loved I am, how valuable I am. Ooh, yeah, Japanese is fun. Konnichiwa. 私はコルタンです。お名前は何ですか？駅はどこですか？Yes, 何ですね。I'm spitting on my microphone.
Oh, I was ready to go in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But so like even with beatboxing, you know, like I had to know what I was shooting for, so I'd watch videos. Thanks for following me, Steven. I appreciate that.
Come on. Oh, you get 2 follows now. I haven't followed you yet. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Wow.
oh. No, I,
But yeah, you know, so I need to understand where I'm going, right? And it's the sense of like, I have to have a goal in mind if I'm going to accomplish it. Because if I have zero goal, I just don't know if I've ever gotten there. I'll forever be in the state of like, am I, will I, shall I, do I, who I, and
all the eyes, yeah.
it's far more eyes than I have. I only have actually I have 4. Anyways,
like 4D. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
but yeah, it's a little bit more insecure when it comes to emotional stuff because we're basing our sense of value and worth. And so then if I practice something and I make a fool of myself in trust, it has a little bit more emotional implication and therefore feels far more risky. But it's helpful to recognize that learning emotional things is the same as learning anything else. It's just from a different place because I'm no longer learning with my head, I'm learning with my heart, but I have to involve my head in the process so that my heart doesn't freak out. Because my heart wants to freak out and run. Get me out of there. I'm afraid. I got scared. Get me out of here. Your brain's like,
No. You shut the heck up. We're gonna stay. We're gonna see this out. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna stay. We're gonna stay. We're gonna ask somebody for a hug. It's gonna be awesome. You're gonna feel much better in like a moment.
nah, I'm so scared.
Stop it. You just stop right there, heart. Don't worry. I'll take good care of you.
And you know, it's this like weird interchange between your head and your heart, and you know, because your heart just feels things, and that's it. It just feels things. But you know, your head and the goals that you're trying to actually accomplish allow you to direct the feelings and allow the feelings to have purpose and meaning. And so then in the space of a goal of trust is like, okay, I'm feeling afraid. I don't want to trust them right now with this thing that makes me feel vulnerable and weak. And, you know, you have to remind yourself, no, but I actually want to be weak. I want to be vulnerable. I want to benefit from the strength of my community and not just from me. Okay, but I'm still scared. Well, yeah, that's normal. It's normal to feel scared, but it's not normal in the way that we normally react to our fear. Fear is fine. It's just what you do with it, right? And so then when it comes to trust, so I've got somebody who's like really trustworthy and I can trust, right? So I see them and I have them as kind of a role model, a picture of what I'm moving towards, not exactly because they're a different person, right? So then my first step, I have a trustworthy person. Second step, I trust them. Ha, 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 ha. Little by little. Yeah, see what I did there? Step 2. And the second finger indicates the second step. It's also a gun. And so so now that I start to trust
you know
them,
the finger gun. Pew pew.
what's that? Step 3 and
he's
4?
got 2 guns.
Not yet.
Oh no.
Not yet. We're not
No,
there
watch
yet.
out.
It's coming. So basically at that point, you know, what you're doing is you're practicing trust.
Yeah.
And then that's step 3 and 4 is you just continue to do that with more people.